Hello, beautiful soul. I pray that you are doing well. I am sharing a bit before I probably go silent for a little bit. I got a phone call over the weekend that I have been dreading for years. My mother, who has Alzheimer's, is 87 years old, and she has been living in the United States with my sister and brother, and I, of course, live here in the south of France. And over the last several years, her dementia has gotten worse. And when I got this call on Saturday, I understood that she was admitted to the ICU. And of course, they're running all of the tests to find out what has caused her to have kind of a sharp decline in her mental status and not really being awake or responsive and kind of holding her body in a funny position. And it's one of those tough situations for me as a doctor and as a daughter. My mother, some of you know her as Dr. P, she was a physician as well. And she used to talk about, how working with some of her patients, she would fight for everything for them. And at a certain moment, we have to know that, of course, life is finite. It will not last forever. And there's kind of a debate in medicine behind heroic measures. Like, if someone is getting near the end of life, how much do you do? How much do you want done to you? Well, my mother was very clear. She is a fierce and feisty little West Indian woman from British Guyana, and she did not want a lot of heroic measures. And she also said very clearly she never wanted to be in a nursing home, which, of course, puts pressure on the children that we have to be there. So I brought my mom to France back in 2015 to give my sister a break and to let her have some time with my daughter so that my daughter could at least get to know a little bit about this feisty grandma. But understanding that she's at a point where her body is weak. And her mind hasn't been fully functional for years with the Alzheimer's. And so we are preparing. I guess I've been preparing for years. Every time I would visit her in the US and after she left France, I always know that every time you see her, it could be the last time. And even if she's still with us, every time you see her might be the last time that she actually remembers you. So I want to honor her by doing everything that I can to remember all the good and the positive things that she's done for thousands of patients over the years, for our family, both in America and in Guyana, and really what she represents. A lot of you have benefited from my work in self-love and resilience, and a large part of that is because of my mother. She was always the role model for resilience. She lost her mom when she was just 11 years old. She watched her mother die of type 2 diabetes and the complications, and it destroyed her. And when she was old enough, she lobbied to the family to send her to London to go to nursing school. And at that time, it was sort of scandalous, to think that she would go and see naked people. But as I said, my mom, she's a feisty one. So she convinced her brothers and she moved to London and she went into nursing school. And when she found out that type 2 diabetes doesn't have to kill you, doesn't have to lead to the complications that she saw her mom suffer with, she was devastated. But she also came out of that very resolute with the basically the rallying cry that she would never let a patient die of a preventable disease. And in many ways, she sort of passed that baton on to me. So as a young physician, learning about medicine, but having watched her all my life and how she set up practice, I was in that shift where managed care took over And suddenly there are all these crazy incentives and pressures on physicians. Like, that wasn't in my mom's era. Being able to spend as much time as you wanted with a patient without this fear, that's what I thought being a physician was. And knowing, like, my mom knew everything about her patients, like their likes and dislikes, their relationships, you know, what they ate, because she was there to understand how all of the surrounding influences in their life impacted their health. So to be a physician where suddenly managed care and the way that medicine is set up in the United States is forcing many physicians to just crank through patients and reflexively prescribe medications. My mother very rarely pulled out her prescription book, you know? It was always about lifestyle and modification. And of course, you know, if people needed it, they were getting treatment. But it was just much more holistic even before that was like a thing in the United States. And so I'm really grateful to her feisty presence and standing up for what is right. You know, going from nursing school in England, immigrating to America. In her words, she would say, you know, here I was, this brown-skinned immigrant with a funny accent, and fighting for the right to go to medical school. You know, she went to medical school when I was a baby. She had 3 small children, and she was 38. So that resilience, that being able to overcome a tremendous loss in her childhood and fighting for the right to be heard and respected as a Black female physician during a time in America where the patriarchal setup in medicine was at its height, it's really inspired me. So I will share a few reflections on my mom, what she's taught me, and how I'm going to honor her whenever she does leave that little feisty 5'2" body of hers. So there'll be a few more of these videos, and then I might be silent for a while. And just know that if my mom were able to talk to you, I know that she would say, don't sleep on your dreams, go for them. Even if some of your family may not believe in what you want to do, go for it. When it comes to your health, like, preserve a beautiful body and brain of yours. She did it. She, unlike many of the people in her family who succumbed very early to dementia, she didn't show any signs till she was 70 something. And so I know Mom would say, you are so worth every dream of yours, so go after them. Cherish your body. Self-care is not just a trend, it's essential. Your kids will thank you, your spouse will thank you, because if you're intact, then you have the energy and the ability to keep sharing the gift that you are. So just know that I'm sending you much love, and I bet my mom would be too.